Hey, what's up everybody? Mark here, back again to show you another project. This time I'm going to show you how to assemble this autumn fairy project. There's a couple different ways you can put it together, and then there's a number of different options, so I want to walk through all those with you. Now, of course, this one looks kind of weird because I've got rubber bands around it. But I did that so that I can disassemble it here with you on the video and talk about the different options. So as you can see, right here I've got it sitting on one of the LED bases that can change color. You can just tap the power button there and change the color that you want to have on it. And this makes it really cool to use as a night light or simply something to show off because it shows a lot of depth here. Now, one of my favorite colors is this one here, the teal color. One of the cool things about this particular project is because it's layered, you get to see a lot of depth going on there, and especially with the light and using some clear or frosted acrylic back there on the moon layer, which I'll show you here in just a minute. Now there are two ways you can do this, two primary ways. You can do it without the acrylic, and you can just paint each layer and give it a sense of depth that way. Or you can put the acrylic in there and let the acrylic really light up and show the depth that way. I'll show you both. There's also an optional way to put a kind of a frame or a casing around it you see here. And you can do that as well. So let me walk through the different ways you can do that. And I'm going to take it apart here and show you how it goes back together. Now as I take it apart, you'll also be able to see a little bit of how it goes together right here. So when I pull it out here, I'm going to move the base here off to the side. When I pull it out here, you're going to see that there is a tab that comes out of the bottom of the acrylic layer that sits down into the base here. Now this tab will probably fit most or maybe all of the bases out there, but it's going to be up to you to use your calipers and to measure the depth and the width to make sure this fits before you cut this, because it may or may not fit. Odds are good that it will, but there's no way I can know about all of the bases out there. So let me see if I can take this apart with minimal disaster, since nothing is glued here. Let's see what's going to happen here. And nothing like semi-live video to see what happens. Of course, as a side note, I love using rubber bands to hold things together because that really works well when you're gluing things. Alright, I haven't dropped anything yet. So, as you can see, there are 4 framed pieces on the outside. Let me just lay it down here. So I've got 1, 2, 3, and sorry, there's 3 because the bottom one's not on there because of the slot there. And so now I'll pick this up here, stack them up a little bit, and show it to you again what's going on here. So these are some of the optional pieces depending on what kind of look you like. And along with those goes this frame piece here, and then the matching one on the back. So these pieces here are some of the optional pieces that you don't need to use if you don't want to. However, if you use those and paint them all black or paint them a solid color, it does really give it a finished look. However, here's another way you can do it. You can do it just like this, and you don't need the frame, and then you could just paint the edges here directly without the frame. So that's another way you could do that. Move these off to the side. And so let me go through the pieces. You've got the first piece that is just the tree. I'll lay that down like that. You got a second piece that is the tree and it also has some mushrooms on it and a few different branches. Third piece is the one that has the fairy on it with the raven. Here, throughout this, we've got a couple different what I just call spacers that allow it to look a little deeper, give it a little depth. And let me just touch on this real quick. The thickness of the material you use does not matter. Okay, you can use anything you want. You can even mix different thicknesses in here, which is what I did. I actually was out of MDF or out of 1/8 MDF when I cut this. And these here are 1/8, and this is 1/4 inch. And what I did originally was I cut 2 1/8 inch spacers to add to here because I liked the way it looked, and then I realized, wait, I can use 1/4 inch, so I did that. So you can add these spacers anywhere in there that makes sense to you to create some more depth. So beyond the fairy layer is a double spacer there. And then here's where one of the optional pieces comes in. This is a piece of frosted acrylic because frankly I just wanted to see what it looked like when I did it. So I engraved that piece. However, if you'd like to, we will include a piece like this that you don't engrave, that you just cut out of whatever material you're using, okay? I'm going to put that in there. And then there's another spacer here, and then the back piece. So let me stack all this back together without the acrylic in there. And then here is the look you can do without the acrylic. And then once you paint these different layers, different colors, it really gives a great look and feel of depth there. Now, another thing you can do if you wish, I'm going to include a layer there that does not have a tab on it. Excuse me, I took the wrong one out. Let's take the moon one out of there, put the acrylic back in there. We could do this, and then we could also take off the tab on the bottom, and you can set it just down on a table just like this without the tab. You can also put the back piece in there with the acrylic without the tab. So there are a lot of different options on how you'd like to put this one together. So I just wanted to show you the different ways you can do that. And again, if you wanted to, let me stack this back up neatly again. If you wanted to do it like that, you could also then add, the front and back frame back on there, right, like that, and then the side pieces. So there's lots of different options. You can paint whatever color you want. We kind of like some color on the front layer and color on the mushrooms, and then this layer with the fairy on it be black so that it's like a silhouette. And then you can continue to paint different colors as you go back, but that's really up to you. Of course, glue those all together. I suggest you can use rubber bands, but I suggest using clamps to hold this while it dries so that it gets it stays nice and straight. But you can do whatever you want. I hope this helps you understand how it goes together and gives you a few ideas on the framing. Oh, speaking of the framing, let me talk about that for a second before we get off here. So when you cut all of your pieces, I highly suggest, if you're going to frame it, if you're going to put these pieces on it, if you're not going to, it doesn't matter. If you're going to frame it, what you need to do then is to take your calipers and zero them out. And you need to measure how thick this is right here. Mine is, you see that? 1.084. And that will tell you how thick this piece needs to be. Okay? So I will include these pieces, but you need to change the width of them to match the project that you are doing because your material may be different than mine. So make sure you do that, measure and adjust these before you cut them. I hope you guys enjoyed this project. It's going to look really cool. Hit me back if you have any questions. And as always, send me some pictures of what you guys make because I'd love to see what you create. Until then, as always, we will see you in the next one.